plan. I give you the benediction that your husbands will be very handsome. The Lord is giving them a benediction. May you all have wonderful, handsome husbands. And further on, the Lord is saying, they will be very learned, clever, young, and possess abundant wealth and rise. Not only that, but you will each have 7 sons who will all live long lives and be very intelligent. So Lord Caitanya is benedicting these girls by saying that you will all have handsome husbands and, not only handsome husbands, but very powerful, intelligent, clever, learned, rich. And also each one of you will have 7 suputras who will live long and also be very intelligent. And in today's verse number 56, we see the reaction of the girls. Though inwardly they are very, very happy, they are very pleased, externally they show some symptoms of anger. And I believe this is how girls will behave. When they are internally angry, externally they show some anger. I don't know how important or how useful such lessons are for brahmacharis. But nevertheless, the Caitanya Caritamrta is telling this is how girls are. So, it is said here that they rebuke Lord Caitanya. All the girls were inwardly very happy, but externally, as is natural for them, they rebuke the Lord under the pretense of anger. But honestly, to truly appreciate this incident, we will just take a quick look at the next 2 shlokas. Just a quick look. In the next 2 shlokas, we will see Lord Caitanya responding to them. Lord Caitanya is telling, oh, you're angry with me. I'm giving you such a wonderful benediction, such a glorious blessing, and you're angry with me. Okay, now listen what I will do to you. Lord Caitanya is saying, when some of the girls fled, some of those who fled away, ran away out of fear, Lord Caitanya called them in anger and advised them as follows. He says, actually the Lord is addressing those who fled, who ran away, who didn't allow the Lord to take those offerings. The Lord says, if you are miserly and do not give me the offerings, every one of you will have an old husband with at least 4 co-wives. Such of those people whose offerings the Lord could not enjoy, the Lord will rebuke them, say, you're running away. And then what happens? Hearing this supposed curse by Lord Caitanya, the girls, considering that he might know something uncommon or be empowered by the demigods, they become very afraid that the curse may become effective. Now look at this. Actually, this whole pastime reveals the transcendental, I would say, mood of Lord Caitanya. The girls go to the river Ganges to pray to demigods. Lord Caitanya comes there and snatches their offerings, consumes it, applies the sandalwood pulp on himself, puts the garlands around himself, eats the sweetmeats and blesses the girls. They never really went to worship him. And what about those who didn't go to worship him? Lord Caitanya they're running away, and Lord Caitanya is threatening them with a curse. And they become scared. They think, oh, what if this becomes true? It's not fun to be married to an old man who has 4 co-wives. So they come running back. So what do the girls do? The girls then brought the offerings before the Lord, who ate them nicely and blessed the girls to their satisfaction. So the Lord gets the girls back consumes their offering and blesses them to their satisfaction. When this cunning behavior of the Lord, the girls became known to the people in general, it did not create misunderstandings among them. Rather, they enjoyed happiness in these dealings. So, actually, in the scriptures, we repeatedly hear, like we saw in this pastime, the Lord is very anxious to create situations favorable for Him to give benedictions to the living entity. To give. The Lord is very generous in giving. We keep hearing this. And the Lord is always anxious that nobody misses His benedictions, His blessings. So in this little pastime, you can see how, especially Lord Caitanya, it said that nobody can give like him. The most munificent, Mahavadanyaya, nobody can compete with him. Actually, it said that Krishna also is sometimes in this mood. He likes to give to devotees. He's very generous, we keep hearing. But Lord Caitanya is especially in the mood of giving. And Lord Caitanya does not even see if someone is qualified or unqualified. We keep hearing this. Someone is seeking His mercy or not seeking His mercy. So in this particular case, these young girls of the village were really not seeking Lord Chaitanya's mercy. But He interferes in their life, forcibly interferes in their life. And they are out there trying to worship devatas, and the Lord hijacks their plan, changes their plan, interferes in their life, takes their offerings, and benedicts them. So it said when the Lord becomes overwhelmed by this desire to give, then he comes as Lord Caitanya, indiscriminately, not looking at the qualification of the people, wanting to distribute. Actually, this is one of the most attractive qualities of the Lord. The Lord is very beautiful, very handsome, very chivalrous, very humorous. Shriyapati, He is the Lord of Lakshmi. All those amazing transcendental qualities are there. But that one quality of the Lord which makes Him the most attractive personality in the universe is His quality of wanting to give always, wanting to share, wanting to give. It's said one of the names of the Lord is Dayanidhi, Srinidhi. That means Dayanidhi. He's like an ocean in terms of his desire to give. Nobody can compare with him. Shri Shri Radha Partha Sarathi ki jai. Shri Shri Ram Sita Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. So in terms of his desire to give, nobody can match him. And the Lord is so kind that in the scripture it is said, you don't have to do anything much. You just have to come and stand in front of Him and have His darshan. Even that simple act of yours of coming and standing in front of Him, wanting to take His darshan, you become qualified to receive. It's said that the Lord is amala, pure. That means even simply having His darshan, the Lord is giving you something. Simply coming, having His darshan, you get something from the Lord. So here, like you see in the case of these girls, the Lord is always plotting and planning how to give to my devotees, how to benedict them, how to bless them. And you simply hear His name or chant His name, and the Lord wants to give. Every time you chant His name, so many lifetimes of karma are probably being eradicated. It's no big deal chanting the name of the Lord. But then the Lord will consider. So it said that the name of the Lord is never taken in vain. That means chanting the name of the Lord will never go in vain, will never go waste. The Lord is always eternally planning, what should I do in order that my devotees become blessed, in order that I can give more and more to the devotees. Also to the non-devotees. The girls, in technical terms, we can say they're not devotees of Lord Chaitanya. They were out there to worship demigods, but even in their life, the Lord manipulates. And the Lord is also so hilarious. He's so full of humor. So when he does interfere in the lives of these girls, he does it in such a charming way. One of the names of the Lord is Sri Kanta. Sri Kanta means somebody who's charming, very adorable, very lovable, very likable. Kanta means charming. So Sri Kanta means Lord can charm Lakshmi Devi. The whole world wants to charm Lakshmi, but Sri Kanta, the Lord can charm her. Lord can mesmerize her. Lord can attract her. So, how does the Lord actually show this quality? I mean, one thing is to read that the Lord wants to give, always is in a mood to give, but another thing is to see how and when, how does the Lord actually interfere in the lives of the devotees. So in the Nectar of Devotion, it is mentioned, it's a very famous example, it's mentioned that the residents of Dwarka would regularly go and visit the Lord. They would just go visit the Lord. The Lord is Dwarkadish, the Lord of Dwarka. And they would just go to visit him. And then when they would go to visit him, the Lord would reward them. And when he would give them, oh, you've come to see me, I'm so happy to see you. Sometimes we give gifts and the Lord would give gifts. And the Lord would give diamonds, silver, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, and valuable jewels and substances like that. And the residents of Dwarka would say, actually, we have not come here to receive any. We like you. You're so amazing. You're so attractive. You're so charming. You're so beautiful. We have not come here because the Lord would say, no, it doesn't matter. I like you too. So take this. Even I like you. I like to see you. I always like to be surrounded by my devotees. And by the way, all the wealth I have, Srinidhi, Srinivasa, Shriyapati, Dayanidhi, all the wealth that I have is meant for the pleasure of my devotees, is meant for your pleasure. I'm just a trustee. I'm like a trustee. This is not mine. This is all yours. I'm keeping it on your behalf. Take it. And the fascinating thing is, the Nectar of Devotion says, okay, the next day they would go to visit the Lord again. Who can stay away from the Lord? Who can? Nobody likes to be separated from him. So they go back to visit him. The Lord would say, oh, you come back to see me today also. So happy to see you. I'm delighted to see you, delighted to be with you. I'm so happy you thought of me and you came. Okay, here it is, some more gifts. And these residents apparently would tell the Lord, my dear Lord, we came here yesterday and you gave us all of this. The gold, the silver, the diamonds, the jubilee, the jewels, and etc. The Lord would say, doesn't matter, that was for yesterday. Now you take this again. He is the Lord's most attractive, one of the Lord's most attractive qualities, Lord likes to give. Also the Lord likes to take away, snatch. But what does he snatch? It says that the Lord snatches away our karma. Lord snatches away our burden of our karma. So much so that the residents of Dwarka became so unimaginably opulent during the time of the presence of the Lord that it says that the residents of heavenly planets were jealous of the residents of Dwarka. So, look at these guys. They don't do nothing. They just go and visit the Lord once in a while, and they have more riches than we can imagine. The Lord likes to give, and also wants to snatch. What does he snatch? The Lord snatches away sometimes he snatches away the attachments that are coming in the way of a more stronger relationship between the devotees and himself. But then see, the Lord is very different with non-devotees. The Lord has two types of dealings, one with the devotees and one with the non-devotees. With the devotees, he's like this. He's always thinking, what can I do to bring more goodwill, auspiciousness in the life of my devotees? How can I trick them? Somebody is running away from Lord Chaitanya, he's threatening them with a curse. If you go away, you'll all have old husbands with 4 co-wives. Think carefully. All of them will come back. All of them will come back and surrender to Lord Chaitanya, and then he is satisfied. He takes their offerings, applies on himself, he benedicts them. With the devotees, that's the way the Lord deals. How about the non-devotees? For the non-devotees, the Lord is known as Shatrugna. He's known as Simha. He's known as Sheshabha. Shatrugna means one who destroys the enemies. He's also known as Surariha. Surariha. Ha means to slay. The Lord, when it comes to non-devotees, is a completely different personality. He becomes angry. He becomes disappointed. He slays the non-devotees. But then, the scriptures say that even the act of slaying is one type of mercy by the Lord. Even the act of slaying. The Lord can do no harm to anybody. The Lord can do no harm to anybody, even his enemies. When the Lord interferes, it's always auspicious. When the Lord does something, it's always for the benefit of the living entity. When the Lord interferes, it's always good. When the Lord chastises, it is good. And when the Lord snatches away something, it is for the benefit of the living entity. And the Lord snatches away. When the Lord comes as Krishna, when young gopis, beautiful gopis, are bathing in the Yamuna river, the Lord snatches away their garments. And the young gopis are completely embarrassed. They can't even step out. And the waters of Yamuna are becoming colder and colder and colder. They're shivering. But then the Lord has a plan. He knows deep in the heart of every single gopi, there is this one desire, one powerful desire, one strong desire that Krishna should accept them as their wives. So Krishna actually fulfills that desire. So even the snatching of the Lord has a transcendental plan and a design. Which is why they say, come what may, stay with the Lord. Come what may, stay surrendered with the Lord. And that is the safest position in this material world. So when the Lord snatches away the garments of the gopis, it may appear like a very mischievous act, but then the Lord is satisfying the desire of each of this gopi, where she wishing that Krishna should accept me like a wife. And Krishna fulfills. So, how does the Lord act in our lives? So in our lives, primarily the Lord acts by in different ways. First is that Srila Prabhupada used to say that, especially if you live in this holy place called India, then you get this opportunity for Ajnata Sukruti. That means you can't help it. You're seeing the temples of the Lord, you're meeting the devotees and so on. Especially in a city like Delhi, I understand now they have 17 temples. He's one of the most powerful teams in terms of book distribution. So somewhere or other, the Lord is trying to come inside our lives. And what does he do once he's inside our lives? Somehow he's trying to snatch away our material interests. Sometimes like he threatened the gopis, like he threatened these young girls, Lord Chaitanya came and threatened. Or sometimes if we are more intelligent, then we don't have to wait till the Lord threatens. But either way, we can see that the Lord is always planning. How do I make these people into devotees? And how do I make devotees into more serious devotees? That is also happening all the time. The Lord is thinking, okay, he's a devotee, he started chanting, now how do I make him a more serious devotee? And a more serious devotee, the Lord is thinking, how can I make him a pure devotee? Like in the purport of one of the previous verses, Prabhupada is quoting in just the previous verse, in verse number 15, Prabhupada is quoting Narottam Das Thakura's song, Anya Devashrayanai, Tumare Kahinu Bhai, Ei bhakta parama karuna. Ei bhakta parama karana. To become a staunch, pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation, ananya bhak, one should not divert his attention to the worship of devatas, demigods. Such control is the symptom of pure devotional service. So actually the Lord is also trying to show another principle. Lord Chaitanya is also trying to show another principle in this whole Leela, that don't go to anybody else. Don't go to anybody else. Just come to me. So the Lord is always thinking, all right, someone has come into the path of devotional life. How do I make him more serious? And someone who's serious, how do I make him a pure devotee? Ananya bhak. Ananya bhak means no temptation to deviate, which is why spiritual life is very exciting. Prabhupada says spiritual life should not be static, should be dynamic. So an active devotee is also thinking, just as Krishna is thinking, how can I bring him closer? An active devotee is thinking, how can I get closer to Krishna? So there's a transcendental reciprocation between an active, sincere devotee and the Lord. Just as the Lord is thinking how I can, what should I do? Like in the case of these young girls, it was enough one threat of a curse and they all fell in line. But Kali Yuga souls, we are asuras. Even threat of a curse, or sometimes even threat of a curse, sometimes even a curse doesn't work on us. We are really, spiritually speaking, the most condemned, gone cases. But the Lord doesn't give up. So a sincere devotee is thinking, just as the Lord is plotting, the sincere devotee is also thinking, how can I go closer to the Lord? What should I do? How can I please the Lord more? So that is the rasa of reciprocation between a devotee and the Lord. Devotee is thinking, oh, how nice it would be. When would the day come when all my lust is transformed into love for the lotus feet of my Guru and Krishna? When will the day come when all the lust that I have, which is loaded into my heart and mind, and every thought becomes transformed? When will that day come into love for the lotus feet of my Guru and Krishna? Love for the instructions of my Guru. And Krishna is looking at such sincere desire and saying, wow, such a sincere soul. What can I do to help him advance? And the scriptures say in such cases, the Lord arranges a pure devotee to instruct him, a Guru, and so on, and create circumstances by which the devotee is making advancement. So this is the transcendental rasa between a devotee, which is what makes spiritual life very exciting, very special, because it's an exchange between two very, very loving, two personalities, the devotee and the Lord. It's an exchange of love between someone who wants to go on giving, the Lord, and the devotee also is not thinking, okay, let me go on receive. No, the devotee is thinking, how can I give more to the Lord? So this is the, ultimately, this is the crux of devotional life, is that we need to understand that the Lord is waiting. And the Lord is very actively waiting. He's not passive. Maybe we can say in the form of when the Lord appeared as Lord Rama, he was we could say he was not proactive in interfering in the lives of devotees. Krishna, he interfered. But Lord Chaitanya is completely, eager. He said, I don't care whether you're qualified, not qualified, ready, not ready. Here it is, take. Because Lord Chaitanya is absorbed in a mood of, transcendental anxiety and a transcendental sense of urgency. Because he's seeing, as Kali Yuga advances, these people cannot live peacefully in this world. This world is going to be extremely complicated and challenging. Why not I rescue all of them and take them back to Krishna? Take them back. So it said that Lord Chaitanya, after his manifest pastimes are over, Lord Chaitanya is mission is continuing in the same mood and spirit of wanting to save the living entities, wanting to become an instrument of giving to the living entities. Always giving. So Lord Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, one who becomes my instrument in this act of giving, there's nobody more dear to me than him. So like that, we see that there is always a contrast. Like I said, sometimes we see how the Lord deals with the demons and the asuras, and how the Lord deals with the devotees. With the demons, he is like thunderbolt. He's sometimes extremely angry. He's like has lightning and thunderbolt. He's like Simha. He's like a lion. He slays, but he's completely different, completely the opposite qualities when he deals with the devotees. So it's mentioned that among the different names of the Lord, there's one set of names called Sandhatha, Sandhinam, and Stiraha. So what does the Lord do? It's exactly in contrasting with the other names of the Lord. I actually picked up some of these names from Vishnu Sahasranama. It's a pretty interesting study of contrast, because there are some names where it is said Surabaha, Simha, Shatrugnaha, and so on. All these Viraha, slayer of strong men who are not devotees. So these are also names of the Lord. This is how the Lord approaches the non-devotee. But then the other names, Sandhinam means the Lord unites with his devotees. What an amazing quality. The Lord does not consider himself different from the devotees. He unites with the devotees. Sandhinam. He is one with the devotees. He becomes like the family member, the most dear, relative of the devotee. He becomes one with the devotee. Then Stiraha. Stiraha is also another amazing name which says that he's very firm in his determination to unite with the devotee and save the devotee. So we really don't have to do, in Kali Yuga, we're actually a little fortunate that the processes that were applicable in other yugas are not relevant now. Imagine having to go to the forest and meditate for 60,000 years or something like that. No. Srila Prabhupada reveals this transcendental process, and he says simply take to the process of chanting, surrender to a bona fide guru, and engage in serious study of the scripture, and live in the association of those who are trying to cultivate love for Krishna or service to Krishna. Unconditional service to Krishna. I mean, in one sense, so many devotees are there in India, but live in the association of those who want to cultivate a spirit of wanting to serve the Lord unconditionally. And then you will become a beneficiary of the Lord's mood of wanting to give and save and protect. But if we decide for some reason not to choose this, then the Lord shows the other side. Then he becomes like the other side of the Lord is, he deals with how he deals with non-devotees. But then see, why should we ever consider that? Because the Lord is so lovable, he's charming, he's full of humor. It's fun to be associated with the Lord and the devotees of the Lord and be engaged in active devotional service. So this is the this particular incident again showcases that desire of the Lord to go on wanting to give, interfere in the lives of all innocent living entities, give them. And so the prayer of a sincere devotee is, Krishna, make me an instrument in your hands in this wonderful act of giving. And the Lord, it's explained in the scripture, it's not that the Lord will benefit by service that he receives from the devotees. Lord is Atma Rama, he's always satisfied. But then, of course, the Lord feels separation from all of us. He says, they're all my parts and parcels, and I'd like them to be happily situated. Prabhupada writes in purport of one of the previous verses here, he says, if we are worshipping Lord Chaitanya and we are chanting Hare Krishna and we are actively engaged in propagation of Krishna consciousness, we are happy now, we are happy this life, we are happy the next life, and we'll be eternally happy when we go back to Krishna. So Lord is feeling that He wants to share that Vaikuntha mood, the mood of Vrindavan, with all the living entities. He is the most selfless personality. So it's not that the Lord will gain by our service, we will gain. And when we are happy, the Lord becomes happy. Look at this. The Lord is, in one sense, inverse of what we see in this material world. In the material world, unless someone makes me happy, I'll never be happy with somebody. But the Lord is thinking, oh, these devotees, if they become happy, I'll see them becoming happy, and that is what will please me. If my devotees are served nicely, if my devotees are taken care nicely, that is what is more pleasing to me. So which is why it is said that as long as our bhakti is on a sentimental platform, there is a risk of not understanding the position of the Lord properly. It has to be backed with proper understanding. Hence, Lord Chaitanya also recommends that one has to regularly, scrutinizingly study the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the, which is the pinnacle, which is the summum bonum of all Vedic literature. So if we scrutinizingly study, then we see the amazing quality. Of course, all other supporting Vedic literatures point out the character, the personality of Godhead, and what are His most special, unique qualities. So we could see today one quality is a lot of wanting to eternally, unconditionally, unlimitedly give. And the Lord thinks even the smallest of service that we do, Lord becomes so pleased and He wants to give. So this is actually the goal of life, to somehow be situated where we are secure and protected by the Lord, and we are always engaged in His devotional service and praying that we become an instrument in the hands of Lord in wanting to give. The Prabhupada was always in that mood. Srila Prabhupada was always in that mood. Giving and giving. Unconditionally, always. So we should carry forward in the same parampara. Giving to the living entities the opportunity to become close to Krishna. Understand the secrets of bhakti. Understand about the Lord, so their natural attraction becomes manifest. And that way we are doing great service to mankind. Chaitanya Caritamrta ki, Jai Gaur Premananda. Do we have time for a couple of questions?
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu?
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Today I was wondering about your name. They are writing Varda Krishna. Then I find out that this is Varda Krishna. So your name is Varda Krishna, no? So this is also wonderful pastime that you have got this verse. Because in this verse it writes Vara. So the starting word is Vara. And Krishna is Varada. He is giving the benediction, and you are receiving this sloka. So this is wonderful pastime of Krishna. And Varda Krishna has got this verse to speak on, in which Krishna is giving benediction. Varda Krishna. Hari Bol.
Oh, nice. He just pointed out a transcendental coincidence. My name is Varda Krishna Das. Actually, my name previous to that was Vardaraj. That's one of the names of Vishnu. Vardaraj means king among those who gives boons. King, always giving. Lord likes to give, and so king among those who gives. Varda Krishna Das means that Krishna. I'm the servant of that Krishna who's always giving. So he just pointed out a transcendental coincidence. Yeah.
Hari Bol.
We find most of the time in many places in Srimad Bhagavatam and other literatures, whenever the Lord appears, he wants to give some benediction. Is there any reason for that? Seeing that whenever Lord appears before the devotee, he wants to give a benediction. Is there any reason?
In the scriptures, it is said that even when one is not qualified or seeking, the Lord likes to give. Prabhupada points out that the sun, the moon, the air, the water, the light, and everything else, the Lord is unconditionally giving to living entities. And people who are not even devotees of the Lord are taking benefit and taking advantage of the mood of the Lord to give. But like I said, living entity has certain qualities. Living entity is Satchidananda, we are conscious, we're seeking happiness, and we are eternal, and we're also having this minute, small quantity of independence, and sometimes we tend to misuse it. That's also a part of the living entity's qualities. So similarly, the Lord has transcendental abharana. Abharana means jewels. Real jewels of the Lord are his qualities. So one of the quality of the Lord is he's always forgiving. Nobody can forgive like the Lord does. And another quality of the Lord is that he brings auspiciousness, Shubham. Wherever he is, the moment his name is chanted, that place becomes auspicious. And Sthira, the Lord is very firm. And firm in what way? He's firm in his conviction, in his desire to protect the devotees. Sthira means firm, determined, in his desire to protect the devotees. Another quality of the Lord is Dayamayi, Dayanidhi, Dina Bandhu. The Lord's heart is very, very soft. He likes to give, he likes to forgive. He likes to reward, he likes. That's one of his most attractive quality. And what does the Lord give? The Lord gives different types of benedictions. Sometimes he gives gold, sometimes he gives silver, sometimes he blesses in different ways, and sometimes he gives himself. Sometimes he gives himself to his devotee. He says, I am the property of my devotees. I am not an independent personality. I belong to my devotees and I serve my devotees and they own me. Actually, we can see this mood so strongly in the Leela of Lord Caitanya. While he was in Puri, there were many times when there were some confusing situations and the Lord would tell Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Raya, and some of his associates, he will say, I'm your servant. I'm yours. You people decide and I will follow. There was something about whether the Lord should meet Pratap Rudra or not, in what circumstances he should meet. The Lord would say, you tell me and I will follow. The Lord would, see, that is the special position the Lord has in his heart for his devotees. So it's said that when for non-devotees he can be so generous, unimaginably generous, then what about devotees? Non-devotees who don't even worship him, who don't even know he exists. The sun, the water, the air, the grains, everything is carrying on and the Lord is providing. So what about the devotees? Lord says, in my heart, I don't know anybody but my devotees. Everything I have is for the pleasure of my devotees. I hold it as a trustee. It's theirs. They can command me. They can tell me what to do. And I will comply. So, in order to showcase this quality of the Lord of wanting to give unconditionally, so we have this compilation in the Srimad Bhagavatam where someone is worshipping the Lord comes and how is it? He will definitely give. He will definitely reward them. Even if you chant the name of the Lord once, it is said, then the Lord will give you so much. But then, the best gift that we get from the Lord is that we should pray to the Lord saying, my Lord, I don't want any of these things. Please bless me with Nischala Bhakti. please bless me with unshakable devotion to your lotus feet. And the Lord, when someone asks that from the Lord becomes very, very pleased. Very, very pleased. So that's the nature of the Lord, wanting to always give, give, give. But of course, the moment we misuse it, then the Lord, the whole dimension of the relationship may change. I'll take one more question. There's a question here which says, please explain how lust can be transformed in love for Krishna. Actually, lust cannot be transformed into love by our efforts. It cannot be done. We cannot, on our own, transform our lust into love for Krishna. This happens when we get the mercy of the Lord or mercy of the devotees of the Lord. So the secret of this transformation is there in the mercy of the Lord and mercy of the devotees of the Lord who have already conquered lust. So which is why in our parampara we say, when you see a Bhagavata, a great Bhagavata, please serve him wholeheartedly, sincerely, wholeheartedly. Dedicate yourself in his service. And when that devotee of the Lord is pleased, and by the mercy of his benediction, by the mercy of his prayer, his blessing, then you will see automatically our lust being transformed. Of course, we should make our efforts. We should always make our efforts. We cannot say, until such a devotee comes, I will be very lusty and that's okay. No, we should make our efforts. That part is called the sadhana. But we have to understand that ultimately success in spiritual life comes only by mercy of Guru and Krishna. And that's not some sentiment, that's reality. The pure devotee of the Lord, when he's pleased with your selfless surrender and service, he can bless you. My Lord, may this wonderful devotee be freed from lust. My Lord, may this devotee make progress. It's said, if you read the Mahabharata or Ramayana, or any of the Vedic scriptures, this principle of getting the mercy of the devotees of the Lord is so strongly ingrained in our Vedic scriptures. So strongly ingrained that even when the Lord comes down, if he honors this principle of serving the devotees. Because it's these devotees of the Lord who are very, very empowered. They may appear timid and weak, but they may appear timid, but they're not weak. They're very, very strong. And they're blessed. So when we get an opportunity to associate with such devotees, we should take advantage of such an opportunity and serve them wholeheartedly. Whether it's transforming lust into love or transforming from being lazy into being an enthusiastic devotee, from someone who has no taste for chanting to developing a taste for chanting, someone who has no taste for service to developing a taste for service, there is the mercy of the Lord, which comes in the form of a devotee. And someone who understands this is very fortunate. Of course, our own effort is there, is required, prerequisite, essential, but no, that's not sufficient. It's essential but not sufficient, if you know what I'm trying to say. It is essential that we make our efforts, but it's not sufficient. That touch of the Lord's pure devotee, that's what transforms. Nectar of devotion also confirms this principle. Okay? Yeah, one last question. Yes, Prabhu. Love comes from surrender. Yes. Yeah, that's right. But then you said, you revealed the secret. Dadami buddhi yogam. For me, the key word is dadami. What is the meaning of dadami? Meaning of dadami? I give. That's the key word here. Buddhi yogam, you are saying, is love of Krishna. That's fine. I don't want to. That's fine. But the key word is dadami. I give. I have to give. If you want it, I have to give you. So it's to be given, not, it's not acquired by our own quality. I mean, like I said, it is essential that it is important that we put our efforts, but not sufficient. Our efforts alone are not sufficient. The Lord and the devotee of the Lord have to give. And then we have it. Shri Shri Ram Sita Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Parthasarthi ki jai, Shri Shri Gaurnita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, ISKCON Delhi Bhakta Vrinda ki. I also want to offer a small appreciation for all you wonderful devotees. Today morning when I was there at the Mangalarati, I saw that along with this prayer that you chanted, you also mentioned the name of my beloved Guru Maharaj, Jayapataka Swami, and you're praying for his well-being and recovery. I'm very, very grateful to you. I pray to the Lord that the Lord should bless you all, endow you with Krishna Bhakti at the earliest. Thank you very much for your wonderful gesture. Thank you.